They trust us. When there is no access, local women-led organizations are there. We have villages, we have towns who are taken today by rebels, but local organizations are there. We need that trust because we are in the community. We are that open doors to people who are in need, but when they are coming to us, we feel really bad when we don't have an answer.
In contexts such as the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Palestine, the aid sector pours in billions of dollars, all meant to protect, to rebuild, and to bring peace. But in places marked by deep vulnerability and power imbalances, that same aid system can also create heightened risks of sexual misconduct. Today, I'm speaking to two women who confront this reality every day. Sandrine Lusamba, Executive Coordinator of SOFEPADI, de Solidarité Féminine pour la Paix et le Développement Intégral in the DRC. She leads a women's rights organization supporting survivors of sexual violence. And Haula El Azraq, Director of the Psychosocial Counseling Center for Women in Palestine. She heads efforts to provide psychosocial support to women affected by occupation, displacement, and abuse. During our conversation, we address topics of a sexual nature that may be disturbing or triggering to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the World Health Organization's #NoExcuse podcast. I am your host, Guni Dias. You both support survivors and victims of sexual misconduct committed by aid workers. You have a very unique perspective to help us better understand the patterns you have observed. What can these women's experiences, because you are supporting women, what are their experiences teaching us?
Most of the international organizations that provide humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people, especially the displaced people and the people living in refugee camp, the people now in Gaza, they are around more than 2 million who are in need for support and humanitarian aid. Palestine is controlled by conservative culture, patriarchal culture, which is still abuse women and still then used a lot of discrimination against women. Even there is a lot of progress on the women participation in public life. But in the last crisis, this crisis, we found in PSCCW, the Psychosocial Counseling Center for Women, which I work with, there is sometimes, yes, women face this kind of sexual abuse from the aid workers, but it's really not the common thing. It's very few cases we faced. In Gaza, I think it's more because of the hard situation and the starvation. I think women are vulnerable to this kind of abuse more than West Bank.
So the experience of women or young girl that we receive in our organization teach us is that the aid without accountability can harm. It leads to violence. Because remember, we are in the community which is affected by poverty. Everyone needs something. Then you will find that inequality in power put people, mostly women, in the position where sometimes they don't have choice. Because when a woman is on the line to wait for the food distribution, it's not only for herself, it's for more than 10 people behind her. So sometimes they just find themselves there without choice because they are surviving for themselves, but also for the family members, for the children who are waiting. It's very important from what we hear from them that every kind of aid, it have to be protected or to be organized in the way that those who are bringing aid are accountable.
how do survivors describe the challenge they face when they're seeking for help, aid, or even justice?
I can give you example of a case we have just received 2 days ago. Most of them, they come later, after. Because when they are going through that, sometimes, as I said, they find themselves not having any power because they want to survive, because they want that people who are depending on them to continue getting something to eat, getting where to the roof and over their head, things like that. So when a survivor come to us, it's a victory because she decide to come up to talk what she have been going through. And as I said, most of them have gone through sexual violence. Others have even got children, but they find themselves in the time that they keep silence, or if in most of cases is when the person is not taking care maybe of the children. If the person is gone miss, they cannot find the person. Or sometimes with our culture, you'll hear families telling to the young girl that that man have to come and to marry you because you have gone through this and that. And then on the other side, the person is gone missing, and she doesn't have any response. And that's when trauma starts. She starts, she doesn't know where to go. We have got even cases where young girls or women have been chased from their families. This side, they are facing that stigmatization in the community, and the other side, the person who is supposed to be held or to support is not there, or others are remain only with the first name. They don't know even the full name of the person. So those are kind of situation where women and young girls find themselves in.
I think there is a lot of similarities between our both communities. Many of the victims, they refuse to announce and to talk about their experiences that they faced this kind of sexual abuse. As Sandrine said, because of the stigma, they will be stigmatized and they will be vulnerable to violence inside their families. They blaming her that you are responsible about what happening to you. And in many times, in cases that we work with, very few of women talk about this. Some of them, they have this kind of courage that they ask for protection, and we contact the security officers to protect them and to put these abusers in jails. The last case was a man who running a charitable society, and he abuse women if they ask for humanitarian aid. And we heard about him from one of women who are coming and say this man threatened me and abuse me because I need humanitarian aid. And of course we do the procedures needed by contacting the security officers, but the few of women can talk. The majority refuse to talk, and if the family know about this kind of experiences, the violence will be double against them, and they will be vulnerable to different kind of violence. But we all the time we encouraging women to seek help from the women organizations that working in the field of protection.
And how do you support them in this? Because sometimes it's even against their own security to be able to come forward and report that they've experienced sexual abuse. How do you support them in overcoming these very traumatic
It's a long
incidents.
process, It's not easy. It's not a normal trauma that women exposed to. And it affects self-esteem, the feeling of safety. This world is not safe enough for her. She can't trust others. Sometimes she becomes vulnerable to anxiety, depression, other psychosomatic symptoms. We use different approaches in dealing with this kind of traumas or hard experiences, and most of the cases we succeeded to help these women to pass this hard experience and begin a new life, and to change their views about this world and about the people, and to feel it's not your responsibility. You are not responsible about what's happening to you. And many times they can pass and begin a new life.
When someone or when a woman open up, it's a victory. Sometimes she can go to an organization, then they tell, maybe we don't have that project anymore, we don't have fund to support you. That again discourage and put a such person in a very bad position. For that woman to heal very well, other aspects of her life have to be taken in consideration. So that's why we focus more on a holistic care, so that we know she'll be assisted in psychological support, medical support, and we also explain what we can offer in terms of legal support and economic support, and what she can do, what can help her to rebuild or to restart something that will help her to, to regain self, the hope, and to go ahead with her life. It's really a very long process.
The approach that we use mainly is based on the collective solidarity. This kind of collective exchange experiences, collective solidarity between women who passed similar experiences, how they can support each other. And I advise, because of our experience, it's a very effective tool that women feel I am not alone. There is many people who passed similar experiences and they can survive and return to normal life again. But as Sandrine said, there is a lot of needs. Sometimes they need housing, they need medication to send children to schools, they need food, they need many things. So we use this kind of holistic approach, and we depend not only on external fund, but also on the contribution of the community itself, how the people in the community can support. We didn't tell them they are sexually abused, but she's a woman with children. She needs your support. Some of them ready to bring clothes, medication or housing. And many times it's not the need of one individual woman, but it's a family headed by women.
Right. You both are, speaking about holistic support for these victims, be it from materials, economic to legal support. There are some cases where some children have been born through sexual exploitation or abuse. How do you support children victims of sexual exploitation and abuse and born from that? What are some of the strategies that are effective but also sustainable to be able to support these victims and children?
It's not easy, because in the case of our organization, we have like 90% of our funding, those are emergency funds. They are not beyond 1 year. They are 6 months, 1 year, sometimes 18 months. Now imagine case of a child born of sexual abuse or rape. It needs a long-term support. So we are now facing cases of women and children that we have supported maybe last year, but they keep coming as we don't have that project anymore. That's why we always advocate for, having access to flexible fund, but also a long-term fund. We know that if we support this woman, like in economics, in economic way, within 5 years, she can be stable and she can take care of her child herself. But for now, we don't have that. We just give a very short-term support. But we have also projects where the lines are so fixed. They tell you, like, you use $100, yet people are different children, different needs. You find one just need small money, maybe to put her back to school, maybe to buy something for food, but you'll find another one need, the support in different way. So I cannot say it is easy. We are still trying. We've been advocating for that, to suggest that for cases of children born of sexual abuse, we have to put in place at least a 5-year program, so that we know that they are supported, and mothers, after the program, they will be able to take care of the children from themselves. So it's not easy.
It's not just a one-off. And I guess what's frustrating is that you provide that support, but then there's no sustainability in that, and they have to be able to either figure something out on their own, or you have to go out there and advocate for more funds. Hawla, anything you want to add?
I think it's different a little bit comparing with Sandrine community, because the children who are born as a result of sexual abuse, there are more than 3 shelters in Palestine that accept these children. They grow in these shelters, and mothers can continue contacting them, but the families don't know about this. Sometimes mother and children be in shelter, but mostly the children keep in these shelters for a long time. It's a big problem, but at least there are shelters that can protect these women. They couldn't stay with mothers because of the culture. It's not acceptable to have children that born out of marriage. So sometimes the life of women become under threat if she keep the children with her.
Right. Because when we had our preparation call, you did mention that even for a victim to report or even come out, is she put her own life in danger.
Yes.
What are some mechanisms that you have put in place to support women so that it's somewhat safe for them to do that, to report?
For us in BSCCW, we do a lot of advocacy campaigns and raising awareness campaigns, first to prevent this kind of abuse against women. We tell them it is your right to have this kind of a humanitarian aid. No one have the right to abuse you because he give you food or give you medicine. So we try to increase their awareness and to inform them, to increase their knowledge about the protection system, about the services allowed for them. You can seek help. You can, and we have we distributed our phone numbers and hotline numbers to let them know. And we do a lot of videos, a lot of leaflets. We distribute them in all of West Bank and Gaza to let them know about this kind of dangers, that no one have the right to abuse you because you are in need for humanitarian aid, and to educate them how they can protect themselves and how to report and which channels they can use in reporting and to reach protection.
You mentioned also a certain level of secrecy in the reporting mechanism. Can you tell us more about that?
So in my country also, in the organization, what we do is to work more on data protection. We don't put names us at internal level, we know how to make those code. We attribute to every file a code, and we know who is who, and our colleagues are trained. We try also to put in place different mechanisms internally, but also externally within the community. In the community, we have put in place what we call a feedback mechanism, where community members are trained. We really break it down in local language, even using drawing, so that people will understand what abuse and exploitation means, and how they can identify it, how they can report it, and what are the report channel they can use. We have put in place, like within the organization, we use the toll-free number. We also use the one of interagencies within the country. We also put in place the box where people can even write and just put in. Most of time also, when we do field visit, we meet people in the community, we try to exchange to really understand. That part of sensitizing the community, it's very important. We had cases where that young woman said, but I think the man loved me, and I was like, maybe if I accept you, I will be the first person on the list. So we had to gather more of those examples to show that that is his work. Even if you are, you don't need to accept what is coming from him for him to give you that food or that information. You don't need to give anything. So we keep that dialogue within the community every time. When you pass also where there's medical centers, we put posters in different language, and we hope that people are reading and are also understanding.
So I understand that there's a lot of sensitization, and this is the prevention that is required for people to first know their rights with regards to receiving aid. But as you know, there have been debates on what are the best mechanisms for reporting mechanisms for victims and survivors of sexual misconduct to report. And when you think about the hotline, well, you need to have a phone. So what if you don't have a phone? And if you think of a box, well, the box is that you'll have to write. You're assuming that they can write, and when you go to that box, everyone can see you putting in that box. What have been, in your experience, ways that you received those cases that have been actually quite successful?
In some marginalized villages, we established what we call it Women Protection Committee. We begin dialogue with the most activist women in these communities, and we establish these committees, and we train them, and we inform them about this kind of abuse and how they can themselves in their own community do this kind of raising awareness, and to know about women who are vulnerable to sexual abuse, and encourage them to seek support from women organization, how to contact us and come to our offices and ask for support. The Women Protection Committees was a good,
it's a strong,
a good tool to encourage women and to increase the responsibility in these communities to continue working after we finished our work in these villages, because sometimes we couldn't continue, but we established focal points that they can continue working.
Right. And Sandrine, do you have any other mechanisms that supported, that you seen that they are particularly successful at giving an environment where victims and survivors feel safe to come and report?
As you say, in the communities, people don't have phone, others, there's not even electricity. What works also very well for us, those community-based mechanisms that you have put in place. Most of those community-based mechanisms, those are women within the community, those are community leaders, because we try as much as possible to work also with men. men are in the community, they are religious leaders, they're traditional leaders. They have to get that information. They have to be trained so that in case they have that information, they know how to orient, how to show the person where to go and to ask for the service.
What I would like to cover a bit more, Sandrine, is when you rally men around getting men involved so that we sensitize them on this subject, how challenging is that to get them involved? Because I guess that when you speak about religious leaders, they might be against, or they might even be hesitant to even be part of these conversations, and they might say, well, you're the one who's bringing this problem. So how do you navigate these conversations, and how do you rally them to be part of this reporting mechanism?
So first of all, we first have to understand our own community very well. I know, like in my mother village, I cannot stand up in front of men and talk. In that village, I cannot go with that message. What we do, we first identify men colleague internally who knows how to approach them and how to start talking to them. We can gather like 20 men or 20 traditional leaders. Among them, 5 or 6 will understand what we say, and we will work with them as champions. We'll work with them as champions, and they will be the one going, because pastor to pastor, if there is a pastor who is talking to another pastor, he will understand it better. If it is a traditional chief who is talking to his colleague who is also a traditional chief, he will understand it better. So we have also that strategy of having champions within the community.
Right. So it's a really a lot of groundwork and exposing it to as much as possible. So hopefully there's one that sticks and continues the work and continues spreading this information.
Can I add something on this level?
Please.
One of initiatives that we did to do a lot of training for the university students who are studying midwife or nursing and medicine doctors, because in the health sector there is also a lot of abuse against women, and we try to increase their awareness regarding this. And now we are struggling with the university to have a course that be part of the curriculum in the universities to be studied by students about sexual abuse and harassment against women, and how to deal with it, how to prevent this kind of abuse.
Great. And Sandrine, I know that you've been involved in quite a few research. Can you tell me more about them? What are some of the key data I think you would want the aid sector you would want the aid sector to know about?
Yeah, I've been involved in a research with different universities. And on those research, like the data collection started in 2018, where we wanted to understand the problem and what kind of help or what kind of services are available, and to really touch base within the community. How does it how do victims are affected, or how the story started? That's why we start having stories of women who are selling, those who had like promise, or people who approach them to tell them that I'll pay school fees, I'll do this. When she find herself in the poverty place, she open up and she go ahead with the relationship. Then until she just see that the person has gone. So we gathered different stories. All that was, to help to understand the problem, and also to see the limitation of the accessibility of the services.
From the research and from your work, is there a story that really touched your heart to this day and that you carry with you when you do this work?
Yes, I have a story. Myself, I was the entry, so that the young girl talked to me directly. In community, different entry message, different people, different offices can be the first entry for the victims. I remember being a place, I stopped a young girl, she was selling bananas. So, in the east of the DRC, there are places where you'll see different agencies, different UN offices, So on those roads, so there was a woman and a young girl selling fruit. So I stopped there. I wanted to buy fruit for my young girl. After buying, she saw me wearing a T-shirt of my organization. So she asked me, do you work there? I was like, yes, I work there. She asked another question like, what are you giving there as a support for women? I tell her. But you see, when you are talking with someone, you feel like she wants to tell you something. Then I notice she starts talking to me in French. Yet I can also speak the local language. I shifted from French to Kiswahili. I saw her being comfortable talking to me. I remember her telling me that, as you know, as you are seeing me here, my mother doesn't know that there is a man. She pointed that compound. There is a group of men always coming in at this time from that compound, that office. They used to buy fruit for me, but that man is a white. He told me he's going to marry me. He invited me in his house, but then I'm not seeing him. I try to ask to others, but they are telling me they don't know him. I ask, do you know the name of the person? He told me just one name, like those, it's just an example. He told me Mitchell. Like, now, how are we going to know which Mitchell is that? I told her, can you come to our office tomorrow? Because I'm not a psychologist. I wanted her to get more. Yeah, she accepted. I left to her small money for transport. Then when she came, I put her comfortable with our psychologist. That's when she told us the whole story. We understood that in her position, selling fruit, there is a man who promises to marry her, to take her in his country. She having a good house there. She will help the families. From all those promises, the person took her took the girl in the house and abused the girl, then disappear. When I don't know if he went back to his country, what happened. So we start now assisting that girl. We sent, the form. We follow the process how we do with the national coordination, PCA within the country, and we try to follow up. Just find out that in that office, 3 people had that name. She was telling us that the person is a white, yet the 3 people that they showed in the investigation process, they were also white. So that office didn't accept us to show the photos of the girl, of the people to that girl. They told us they are going to take the case. They will proceed with the case up to the end. We give back the case and we know that it will proceed up to the end. In our surprise, many months later, the girl came again. Like, since then, I've never found the person. They told me they are going to do the ADN test to know, because
DNA test, yeah.
DNA test, because after then she was pregnant. They are going to do the DNA test, but good enough, my mother knew about it. She took me to a clinic. They did abortion, but I'm sick. Since they did that clandestine abortion and she was sick, then we start again taking care of her. That story touched me a lot and give me again strength to continue to try to understand the system and to try to understand the need of those women or those young girls and how we can help, and how the system in a humanitarian setting or in a humanitarian level in the country can work better to assist and to respond when cases occurs.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Can you resonate with these type of stories?
I can share one story, but reflect how much women can be strong to pass this kind of experiences. She's a woman in 13th, and she vulnerable to abuse because she was need to work. And she become pregnant with twins, not one baby. But and we work with her, and we support her until she has these two babies. And what we do, because when you have babies out of marriage, they couldn't names them. So we called this man, we know him, and he came to the office, and we do this paper that he's to marry her, to give his name to these two babies. But she has her own plan that she wants the two babies, and in a legal way. And then after he gave them the need, she divorced him. She tell him, I don't need you. Just I need to have these two babies, and I have the power to continue my life. Of course, we continue working with her, and she become a very strong woman and independent one, and she can take care of her two children. Even the family, of course, they neglect her, and they didn't recognize these two babies, but she was very strong. What I want to say that women can pass these kind of hard experiences if they find enough support and enough motivation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I want to end our conversation with a message to donors and international partners. What is one thing that you would want them to know beyond just funding about the work that you're doing, so that there could be a change?
For us here, just to follow their principles when they providing aid for a nation like Palestinian people. They are talking about dignity, about privacy, about human rights. Just follow these principles and not put the necessary procedures and policies that protect the people who are in need for your aid. Not to give them aid and then to abuse them.
Yeah, basically do your job.
Yeah.
As you say, just to ask them to do that job with humanity, because we need that help. People really need it, but it have to really answer to the real need. But also beyond money, as a women-led or local organization or national organization, we also need that trust, because the founding comes with a lot of control, a lot of, yet we are in the community, we have that access, we have built that access to the community, and the community trusts, and they like what we are doing, they trust us. When there is no access, local women-led organizations are there. We have villages, we have towns who are taken today by rebels, but local organizations are there. We need that trust, because we are in the community. We are that open doors to people who are in need, but when they are coming to us, we feel really bad when we don't have an answer to them. It has happened to me to at some point tell my colleagues, we can't do anything. What should we do? Yet people are there in front of us.
Thank you, Sandrine and Haula, for doing the work that you're doing, because I think that your brain needs to be set up differently to be able to continue doing the work that you're doing. And thankfully we have you. When we had the preparation meeting with Haula, I asked, how do you cope? And she told me, we don't cope, we resist.
Yes.
And that quote has stuck with me. Thank you so much for your work, really. Thank you.
Thank you to you too. Yeah.
Thank you to give us this nice opportunity and to know Sandrine more.
Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to us to prseah@who.int. Until the next time, goodbye.